News? Nope. No way. Apparently I don't fit into their little schedule. I need a new agent.
Quick check of the news and notes. The Expos have extended the contract of manager Felipe Alou through 1999, and the New Jersey Nets have placed Reggie Williams on the injured list with a stress fracture of his left tibia.
Next, Sports Center after the game with Dan Patrick and Linda Cohn. Duke's playing Florida State. The Bulls are hosting the Clippers. For Larry Beal, I'm Gary Miller.
And I'm Brett Haber. The NFL Tonight is next with Chris Berman and Tom Jackson. Enjoy the game. Enjoy them. Here's Chris.
All right, guys, thank you. The weather outside in Indy, it's frightful. But inside the RCA Dome, the fire is so delightful. Big game tonight. With the playoffs waiting in the wings, the Eagles are focused. The NFC East title is in sight. Lying in wait, the comeback kids from Indy, with their captain in question and backs against the wall. Denver rides into Lambeau a mile high with the league's best record. But a resurgent Pack puts a home win streak on the line in a battle for league supremacy. The newborn rivalry between the Panthers and 49ers is about more than pride. On the line, top billing in the NFC West. Irving Fryer's having a career year, thriving in the role as leader and educator. But Marshall Faulk is stumbling his way through a less than memorable season. All that and more coming up next. Once again, everybody, a special Thursday night edition of Sunday Night Football. I wait all year to say that. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Berman along with Tom Jackson. And good game tonight, Tom.
Yeah,
we got 8-5 Philadelphia at 7-5 Indianapolis. Both teams righted their listing ships last week in a big way. Remember, the Eagles were 7-2. They lost 3 in a row, but last week they whitewashed the Giants. The Colts were once upon a time 4-0. They fell all the way to 6-6. They're like a mash unit, this team. But they beat the Bills in overtime last week, 13-10, to remain a playoff contender. So, with that backdrop, Tommy, your thoughts going into this game, which kicks off in a half hour?
Well, certainly a bad spot for the Colts. This is a team that started 41 different people over the course of the season. They still have 3 games left. Tonight, they will go in without 7 of those starters initially penciled in at the beginning of the year, including Jim Harbaugh. And I think tonight they just don't have enough horses, excuse the pun, to run this race.
Well, but that's what they thought last week against the Bills,
right.
and
right.
they knocked the Bills out of first place.
That's why they play the games.
That's why they play the games, as somebody once said. Well, a double dip this week for our Sunday night crew, but a labor of love, especially with both teams tonight in the playoff hunt. Let's send it out onto the heartland and join Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann. Michael?
Chris, it is a big game for both of these teams, but especially the Eagles, who could break a 3-way tie for first place in the NFC East if they get a win tonight. And, Joe, when Rodney Peete went down, a lot of people thought the Eagles were dead right then. But Ty Detmer has answered all the critics, said he wasn't big enough, couldn't take the pounding, didn't have a strong enough arm. Well, he's made them all believers, including Ray Rhodes, who believed in him all along.
He really did, and the reason why is when Ray Rhodes was defensive coordinator in Green Bay, he had to work against Ty Detmer, and he really had problems with him. He said, from that time on, I knew he could be a starter in the National Football League, but what I really like about Ty Detmer is his knowledge of the game. This guy knows exactly what he wants to do with the football. He sets quick in the pocket, makes a decision, gets the ball out. He also leads his receivers very well, so when the ball's out in front of them, they have a chance to run to open spaces and keep on going. And the other thing I like about him, he gets rid of the football on time. Defensive backs don't have an opportunity to close on him real quick, Mike. The thing that really is unique about him, when you look at these numbers of his, if you take that out over 16 games, that's almost over 4,600 yards. Not too bad for a little short 6-footer.
You're right, Joe. And coming up at 8, Detmer and the Eagles will take on the Colts in a very important game for both clubs. Chris?
All right, Michael, thank you. See, Joe likes those short quarterbacks. You know, next thing you know, he'll
getting rid of the ball on time.
Next thing you'll know, Detmer will be returning punts, just like Joe used to. Actually, you could tell Ty Detmer's father, Tom, was a high school football coach and his coach because he's so smooth. He's 5-3 as a starter, so that's, quote, inexperience, but he looks way wise beyond his years. Now, we've seen this West Coast offense before. What's the Philly version going to look like tonight?
Well, I think this is the true West Coast offense where they run the shallow crosses underneath and they allow the receivers to do their We take a look here at this first shot. Ty Detmer back. You see the poise. You see him get his feet set. That's Chris T. Jones coming across the formation. And look at the defenders frozen as he catches the ball and runs in. And what you want to do as a defender when they run these shallow crosses, sometimes you can catch them in that 5-yard area. You want to start getting a hit on people. Right there, you see a guy not get a hit. You see defenders with their heads back into the backfield, allows receivers to get loose and get the football. Right there, it's Irving Fryer, and we'll take one last look here down again in the red zone. And that's Irving Fryer lined up in a tight slot. And again, as he comes across the football field, nobody hitting him. Once he gets the ball, he just steps into the end zone. And I think the one thing that we can depend on with the people out in the lineup, a couple of defensive backs in Ray Buchanan and David Tate, a couple of linebackers, including Jeff Harrod and Stephen Grant, you can look for the Philadelphia Eagles to take care and take advantage of that underneath. And then one thing we know, the Indianapolis Colts scored 13 points last week and won a football game in overtime. That won't be enough tonight.
Eagles get the jump on the tri-leaders in the NFC East. The Cowboys are at Arizona Sunday, and Washington's at Tampa Bay Sunday, so all three are on the road. So obviously a team, Tommy, very interested in tonight's game of the defending Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys. But suffice it to say that with Leon Lett's one-year suspension doled out this week, they have many other issues on their minds. Let's go down to Dallas now and join our Chris Mortensen. And Mort, as we join you down there, you know, a day and a half after the Leon Lett word came down, a lot of heat on Cowboys management, specifically owner Jerry Jones tonight. What's going on?
No question, Jerry Jones was getting bashed today in the Dallas media, and he's very sensitive and aware of the criticism and the image of the Cowboys. He wants to send a message. He wasn't willing to be interviewed, but he wants to send a message that he has not put his head in the sand. He doesn't feel he has. He said a year ago the Cowboys were one of 3 NFL teams to bring in both league medical doctors to speak to the team about drug use and alcohol abuse. John Lucas, of basketball fame, he said he brought him in last year. He says he's looking into something that he can do more within the player support without breaching confidentiality of players in the drug program, how they can support each other and help a teammate from falling like Leon Lett. As for Leon Lett and his future with the Cowboys, Chris, Jerry told me that he spoke with Leon by phone, didn't want to divulge the nature of the conversation, but that he is going to give Leon his full support in hopes that he has a successful rehabilitation and, in fact, hopes that he's back in the Dallas uniform this time next year.
Yeah, certainly more the concern about Leon the person. But now, what about Leon's teammates? What's the mood of the club, if you could get a feel of that today? How did they feel here just a few days away from their next game?
Well, maybe because they've been through this before, Chris. Obviously, that's not a good thing. I found them surprisingly in good humor today. Deion Sanders and Nate Newton joking over the PA system. Deion giving me a hard time because I suggested the team might fold now. He said he'll see me at the Super Bowl. Strategically, they're getting Ray Childress ready to play. They signed the ex-Oiler. He looks in great shape. Hasn't played football. Said the Cowboys were the only team he would have come out of retirement for. He might play 10 plays backing up Chad Hennings. Tony Casillas gets the start for Leon Lett. And on offense, Chris, they're hoping. They're playing Arizona, New England, and Washington. None of those teams have stopped the rush very much. They're hoping Emmett can get cranked and maybe keep their defense off the field for 3 or 4 minutes a game.
All right, Mort, we'll be back to you on some other NFL news in a moment. Tommy, no question, I mean, that there's just 3 games left in the regular season. They could win all 3 and win the division. But if the goal is the Super Bowl, can Dallas recover from this?
I don't think so. This is a defining blow for the Dallas Cowboys. They began the season without Shante Carver and Michael Irvin. They will end it without Leon Lett. And what Leon Lett does is stop people from running the ball, setting up play-action pass off of it, and that's something that they will miss. And then I think the bigger issue, and Mort started out talking about it, the character issue, and it's something that Jerry Jones has to prioritize right now.
No question. We have football at the top of the hour. The Eagles are at the Colts. A special Thursday night edition here on Sunday Night Football, and much more. Hey, the Denver Broncos, Elway, running game, defense, will it be enough to beat the Pack? Look to have found themselves on a new star. Irving Fryer proving his worth in the latter half of his career with the Eagles, and Marshall Faulk of the Colts. Can he rediscover his once explosive step? We'll be back.
If one more worker makes it through the day safely, still able to embrace a waiting child, still able to see the work that lies ahead, if one more accident never happens, then Travelers has done its job. We've made your job more secure. In business, as in life, what we all need insurance from Travelers provides. Something to hold on to.
Get more boombox for your buck. Circuit City. You can't find a lower price. We guarantee it.
Conchitoro. Taste says it all.
Rebel G. Get the ultimate rush. How do you lose fat and build muscle in only 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week? Body workout. Chest, shoulders, back, arms, abs, and legs. For the body you want, call and get your free video and brochure. It's like an entire gym that fits anywhere in your home.
This ESPN NFL special is brought to you by Travelers Insurance. What we all want, Travelers Insurance provides. Something to hold on to.
Sometimes it's better if they leave us in the dark. Coming up this weekend, big game in the NFL, Denver at Green Bay. Nobody has better records than the 12-1 Broncos, who of course have won 9 in a row, and the 10-3 Green Bay Packers. Denver has wrapped up home field throughout the playoffs in the AFC. With wins in their last 3, the Packers can do the same in the NFC. After their losses to Kansas City and Dallas on the road, Green Bay has come back with wins over St. Louis and Chicago, thanks to strong second halves. Now, I was in Green Bay yesterday and this morning, and I asked Brett Favre if he's feeling if they are returning to early season form.
Now we're kind of getting guys back, but reality has set in. Okay, now we're just like everyone else. We're going to have to claw and fight to get to the top just like everyone else, and that's not a bad thing, because once we get into the stretch, that's going to be a free-for-all.
The thing I think that we've done well in the midst of some of the turmoil that we went through with the losses is that, you know, we've shown character in that we've handled the adversity. And now it's a great opportunity for us to get some of our guys back.
Well, guys back. Mark Jamora, barring a misstep in practice at the end of the week, the tight end will be back. Antonio Freeman came back last week. They got Andre Resnick. They're not going to get Robert Brooks. The point is, Tommy, all the question marks have now come back in the lineup, and I think you're seeing the pack start to gel now.
Yeah, and you start putting the cogs back into the machinery. You start regaining confidence, and I think that's what we'll see from this Green Bay Packer offense going down the stretch. Another thing I think we'll see defensively, their coordinator Fritz Shermer all season has just lined up his front four because they're a strong front four headed by Reggie White, and kind of told him just rush over the guy in front of you. I think we'll see a more imaginative defense up front by Fritz Shermer as he goes down the stretch into the playoffs and beyond.
The Broncos have a dilemma. It's a dilemma every other coach in the league wished they had, the one that Mike Shanahan has. Gary Zimmerman out. He's had some surgery, so he won't be blocking Reggie White at all. Mark Schlereth, question. John Elway, big question if he plays. What do you think? Will they rest Elway, or how should Denver approach this? Because you know they would like to beat the Packers.
When I talk to the Broncos, there's no doubt that they would like to win the football game, and I think the key to that is their offensive line. All year, they've been able to get hats on people. We'll take offensive line. This is going to be Broderick Thompson right there, spot shadowed. You look at him turn the corner. They managed to get the angles on people. Then Terrell Davis backs that up by having the fleetness of foot to get downfield 80 yards if necessary. Again, here, you watch this team just get the angles on people. Look where their heads are, right in front of people. Terrell Davis, again, great at finding the hole, making the yardage. Now, the one thing that will be affected, as those people that Chris mentioned are held out of the lineup, I think that's the one place you'll lose some coordination, and if they do that, they probably will have a very difficult time at Lambeau Field.
Well, a question still with Elway. If he can't go with the hamstring, it would be Bill Musgrave, and that obviously changes things a little.
Quite a bit.
Can I say that?
Quite a bit.
A little bit. Well, Tommy, the other big game on Sunday is 9-4 Carolina at 10-3 San Francisco for first place in the NFC West. The Panthers have beaten the mighty Niners 2 out of the 3 meetings that they have had. including Week 4 at Carolina, when they knocked Steve Young out of the game and they won convincingly 23-7. To put it mildly, the Panthers have the Niners' attention. Let's get an update from 4949 Centennial Boulevard in Santa Clara, California, from our Andrea Kramer. Good afternoon, Andrea.
Thanks a lot, Chris. The 23-7 loss to Carolina was the Niners' worst this season, especially since it showed a lack of mental preparedness they insist will not be a problem this time.
There's no question in that last ball game we didn't play with the intensity or the urgency that we have the rest of the season, and we're going to have to play with that urgency and that consistency to have an opportunity to beat this Carolina club.
I know the last time we played them, we did not show up at all. I mean, I think the whole team was still here in California. I don't know what team that was.
After getting in sync the past 2 weeks against the league's worst defenses, San Francisco's offense now faces a Panther team that's yielded the fewest points and recorded the most sacks through their confusing zone blitz scheme.
The key to this game will be basically picking up the blitz, making sure they don't get to Steve and flush them out of the pocket. And if they do, they have to worry about them running. We have a healthy Steve Young now, not the Steve Young that they faced in the first game.
Last meeting, neither Floyd nor Terry Kirby played. Both are nicked up now. Floyd was limited in practice on Thursday. He aggravated his surgically repaired knee last week. Kirby is wearing an orthopedic boot on his sprained left ankle. He hasn't practiced all week, but assured me he will play. And finally, Dana Stubblefield, who missed the Atlanta game, just found out he has 2 cracked ribs. He'll wear this rib protector and told me he will play, but he's not sure how long he can go. And Tommy, he just hopes he doesn't take another helmet to his back.
And Andrea, that's certainly a tribute to Dana Stubblefield. He realizes how huge this game is and realizes how important he'll be. I think both of these teams know that defense eventually will tell the tale in this football game. The Carolina Panthers are a team built to beat the San Francisco 49ers. Tyrone Poole, Eric Davis, outstanding cover guys on the outside. Kevin Green and Lamar Lathan from the outside rushing the passer, putting pressure on Steve Young. And I think what the Panthers want to do, when I talk to them this year, they want to stay close to this football team and play fairly mistake-proof offense. If they do that, don't turn the ball over, give themselves a chance to win at the end, I think this could be a great football game.
It depends if they can contain Steve Young.
Well, that's
the biggest question with Carolina. Now, the Niners are hoping, hey, another big game. Let's not go to overtime, please. Their 3 biggest games of the year. The Monday nighter at the Pack, the big game at home against Dallas. They both lost in overtime. But in my opinion, that drive at the end of regulation, engineered by Steve Young to tie it at Washington, then in overtime, then the Monday night game, if you're looking for a sign, that offensively is the sign that the Niners may be turning the worm a little bit, although it's not the usual role the Niners are on by this point of the season. That'll be a great game on Sunday. Let's go back to Dallas now and join Chris Mortensen and move on to another game that looked bigger on paper until the Patriots were just battered last week, literally and figuratively. The Chargers were by the Patriots here on ESPN. Stan Humphries, we saw him woozy, concussion, will not play this week. What's his status? What are the medical reports there, Mort?
Well, there's nothing career-threatening, Chris, but there may be season-threatening from this perspective. The first MRI done on Stan this week actually showed a little pocket of blood in the rear of his brain. So when he lays down on his back, he experiences nausea. He's having another MRI tonight to determine just where he is right now. They're optimistic, but he probably will not make the trip to Pittsburgh. Obviously, he's not playing, as you stated.
All right, Mort, thanks. Get back here this weekend. We need to see you here for kids. Right? More kids. It'll be Sean Salisbury. State will be at quarterback for the San Diego Chargers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. More to come. Next Thursday, the Pro Bowl selection show. Boy, it's a big Thursday night of football. That's coming from Disney World in Orlando, Florida. Then following that 7:30 to 8:30, it's the College Football Award Show at 8:30 Eastern Time. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Lee Corso. So get ready next Thursday night for more football right in this time slot. And when we return, Irving Fryer reaching a milestone. Impressive. He has been impressive for the Eagles. His story when we return.
It's challenging. That's what I love about it. I trust my instincts.
It's different running your own business.
My work is everything. It's pure adrenaline.
Every decision comes down to you. It takes confidence and a sense of pride.
It calls on resources you never knew you had. Like the corporate card from American Express.
Call now and apply right over the phone.
Because control is in the details. You get quarterly reports by category.
Simplifies bookkeeping.
Small business savings, like 3% off mobile gas, 10% off UPS overnight delivery, up to 15% off Hearst, and up to 25% off Hilton hotels.
It adds up.
And we put your company's name on the card, because you are the company.
I like what it says.
People recognize it. It's the best card to have. Every day, more than 1 million small business owners rely on the corporate card. See how it can help you.
It's hard to do business without it.
Call 1-800-SUCCESS now.
We'll take your application right over the phone.
Because meeting the challenge is what you do best.
I wouldn't work this hard for anyone but me.
When devising the set of NFL Countdown, 4 of the McGinty brothers sit together, while one sits alone.
Well, ever since I can remember, Sterling's always lined up wide.
It's just where it feels more comfortable. Heck, we've tried different formations. Yeah, pro set, wishbone, run and shoot. I guess in the end, we just decided that we'd let them line up wide.
And that way, we can always option to him.
5-time Pro Bowler. He's always there for you.
Thanksgiving '95, the Vikings and the Lions, a game of big plays and record-setting performances. Minnesota's crushing D and special teams just could not keep pace with a pinpoint-accurate Detroit aerial attack. Scott Mitchell threw for a Lion record 410 yards. 3 different receivers went over the 100-yard mark for the first time in team history. Not to mention Barry Sanders, 138 yards, a wild 44-38 Detroit win. Week 1 looked to be a Mitchell against Warren Moon showdown, but defense this year the name of the game, with Minnesota's causing 5 turnovers and Detroit bringing Moon down to earth. With 66 ticks on the clock, Carter holding a 31-yard touchdown for backup quarterback Brad Johnson that proved to be the difference in a 17-13 Vikings victory. So the teams are close. How close will they be this Sunday night at the Silverdome? Sunday night football on Sunday night at 8 Eastern time. The Vikings at the Detroit Lions. In 1984, he was the overall #1 draft pick by the New England Patriots. Irving Fryar was a good player, but never reached those heights of which he was expected. He did a few years ago with the Miami Dolphins, but that kind of wore out a little bit last year. This year as a Philadelphia Eagle, he's having his best season ever. He's been named MVP of the Eagles offense. Consider they have the leading rusher in the NFC as Ricky Waters. That's the kind of year Fryar has had. But as he told our Sal Palantonio, the ride has had its bumps.
Detmer to throw. Whistles one down the left side, and what a pass, a one-arm catch by Irving Fryar.
Some of the things that I've heard that have been out, that were put out about me was that I had a bad knee. I had no more interest in the game. I couldn't play anymore.
Irving Fryar is used to being labeled. After 9 stormy years in New England, it was underachiever, not worthy of the first pick in 1984. Bad citizen, mired in drug and marital problems. After 3 years in Miami, the Dolphins cast him aside in a youth movement, and he had a new label, washed up. But with a new offense, the Eagles needed a wide receiver who didn't mind the punishment dished out over the middle.
We were thinking, geez, Irving is just the kind of player that, we were looking for. Has he lost a step? We didn't know.
I knew what type of player he was, and I knew that his future was over in Miami. But we were talking to Troy, and he said, I got to tell you, there's a player that I went up against in practice every single day for the last few years. He hasn't lost a step. He wants to win championships. He's available, and his name's Irving Fryar.
When he came in minicamp, you watched him run, and he's got a lot of life in his legs. He beats people deep. He's fast. It was like, why haven't people been using this guy more?
The story of Fryar's personal rebirth from a life of drug abuse and running the streets is very well told. The rebirth of Irving Fryar, the football player here in Philadelphia, has gone largely unnoticed. At age 34, in Ray Rhodes' version of the West Coast offense, Fryar has set a career high for receptions and become the leader he never was in New England or Miami.
He's been through all the trials and tribulations. He's seen the worst and he's seen the best. And so basically what comes out of his mouth is something that we need to take heed of. When everyone talks about, that you're old, you're washed up, your better days are behind you, and you come out and have a year the way he's been having, it's something special because now you're beating the odds.
That's what keeps me going, is the negative stuff that people say about me. All you got to do is tell me I can't, and I'll go get it done.
And go get the ball. He currently sports 2 black eyes suffered in Arizona in Week 13.
Broke my nose, catching a seam pass. It's part of the game.
10 plays later, he catches a slant, takes it up, and tries to run the free safety over with a broken nose. So guys see that. You know, you see somebody working hard, putting everything they have into it, and you got to respect that.
Respect and reverence. Last week, a local woman whose brother had died came to the Eagles ticket office with one of Fryer's jerseys and an unusual but moving request.
She was bringing the jersey up to them so they could give it to me so I could sign it, so he could be buried in it. Now that's something. You know, I can't have it. I don't have any words for it, but to know that somebody thinks that much of me to want to be buried in number 80 jersey with F-R-Y-A-R on the back of it, that's an impact, man. That's an impact in my life. So I've got to stay doing what I'm doing and continue to try to do it better because people are watching.
We're all watching. What a year Irving Fryer has had, and Ty Detmer a big reason why. Will they hook up often tonight against the Colts? We'll return on our NFL Tonight.
Traction control is now standard on all BMWs because we all have places to go.
Wow, Daffy Duck! You're the greatest!
Thanks. Take a pic.
Sure, Daffy. Just need some ID.
Are you serious? How many big cartoon stars come into the store?
Checks are a pain, but your bank has a better way, the Visa Check Card. And if your ATM card has a Visa logo on it, you've got one. It automatically deducts from your checking account everywhere Visa's accepted.
You're despicable.
Visa Check Card works just like a check, only better.
What a maroon.
There is a stereotype out there about jocks, and for the most part, it's true. But you're going to find exceptions.
You know, I've been talking to you all afternoon about the tension, about the darkness. You know, we got to do something about that.
Michael Rowe, your voter show. Hallelujah, everybody. Rowe, your voter show.
Join us for NFL Countdown, 90 minutes this Sunday at 11:30 a.m. The playoff picture, Mort down with the Cowboys. Can they recover from Leon Lett's one-year suspension and Emmitt Smith's comeback? I visited Reggie White, the art of the sack. And Sterling visited his brother Shannon, who's having a pretty decent year for the Denver Broncos. Marshall Faulk, well, he's not having a great year for the Indianapolis Colts. He's hurt. He has a dislocated toe, but he has 8 games of 50 yards or less and no 100-yard games. And contrast that, Tommy, with his rookie year when he had a 1,200-yard season. He had 400-yard games, and he's just not there when the Colts need him. He is hurt, though. It's hard to tell how much.
Well, and certainly, Boom, I don't think it's our place to decipher whether he should be playing more than he is or whether he's too acutely aware of the fact that he's injured sometimes. But the thing that I have noticed as we watch him play, in his rookie year, in his second year, Marshall Faulk would always shear off or run through the first tackler and the second tackler to make extra yardage. Now, more often than not, we see him going down with that first tackler. His numbers last week, the 23 carries, 46 yards, just won't get it done.
He had a big game receiving last week against the Bills, caught 10 balls. Will he have a big game receiving tonight against the Eagles? That's coming up at the top of the hour. We'll be back.
Sad, isn't it? Finding out you paid too much for your stereo. Circuit City. You can't find a lower price. We guarantee it.
Yeah, I'm a football guy, but I like the other contact sports too. Yes, nothing like the sound of a good hit. Now that's how the game was meant to be played. Only Pro Player has reversible home and away jackets, sweatshirts, and hats for pro teams and college. That guy should have been a linebacker. I've won 2 Super Bowls. I know a winner when I see one. Pro player reversible jackets. Reverse it.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Tonight, it's Philadelphia at Indy on ESPN Sunday Night NFL.
We will see you at halftime for the fastest 3 minutes. It's me running through the airport at Boston Straubel Field in Green Bay this morning. But we have the Eagles and the Colts, a game dripping with playoff implications. Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann, Mark Malone on the call. Gentlemen.